Namaskaram. Happy Sri Rama Navami to all the Astikas and the Bhaktas. Rama has been celebrated in the magnum opus of Valmiki Maharishi, which is the Adi Kavyam. It is often prefixed with the word that indicates auspiciousness and also the presence of Sri Mahalakshmi. Hence it is called Srimad Ramayanam. Thus, Valmiki Maharishi's Adi Kavyam, which is Srimad Ramayanam, celebrates Rama's life history, his gunam, the Vaibhavam, and the major incidents in his life with that of Sita in the Bala, Ayodhya, Aranya, Kishkinda, Sundara, Yuddha and Uttarakandams. It is often said that of the 18 Rahasyas which the great preceptor Ramanuja bequeathed from his uncle Sri Shaila Purna, Gayatri Mahamantram is an essential component or an essential rahasya. The esoteric meaning of Ramayana is found in the Gayatri Mahamantra. These cantos, these kandams, have been summarized by various acharyas in their own inimitable way. One such work is Sri Raghuvira Gadyam or Mahavira Vaibhavam by Swami Vedanta Deshika, who shows his caliber in the language, which is impregnated with his devotion to Sri Sita Rama Parivar in this canto. Similarly, of the many composers whom we have worshipped, revered and admired in Sanatana Dharma, Swati Tirunal, who was the celebrated Maharaja of Travancore in the south of India, besides being an able administrator, he was a great Vagayakara. His devotion to the presiding deity of Thiruvananthapuram, who is Ananta Padmanabha Swami, is unparalleled. So much so was his devotion to Padmanabha Swami that he wouldn't complete a composition without the word Padmanabha. Whether be it a composition on Rama, Krishna, Nrisimha or any deity, the word Padmanabha, which was essentially his signature, mudra, will come. Marrying the concept of Ramayanam with its kandams and Swati Tirunal's scholastic achievements in composing great operas, great compositions, we are now going to witness one such composition which has been immortalized by great musicians par excellence in the past. That composition, which is a quintessence of the entire Ramayanam, is Bhavayami Raghuramam. I am very pleased to be explaining very briefly. Of course, the composition has the caliber to be explained in for months. But given the time constraints that all of us are in, with very busy students, office-going people, very busy homemakers, let us utilize this short time to understand, relish, experience and actually contemplate upon the meanings of this great composition, Bhavayami Raghuramam. Bhavayami Raghuramam Bhavya Sugunaramam. Bhavayami. Whenever this Bhavayami, the word comes, which is a verb in itself, it can only be Aham Bhavayami. You can never say Tvam Bhavayami, because in Sanskritam, Bhavayami is associated with the first person. So I pray, I meditate, I contemplate. So it is aham bhavayami. But we may be wondering, if it is aham bhavayami, shouldn't it be bhavayami Raghuramam aham? No. In Sanskritam, when the word bhavayami comes, it innately means that it is only I, aham. So there is no need for us or for the composer, whoever composes, to induce the word aham. So I meditate upon Rama, bhavayami Raghuramam. Because he came in the lineage of the great king Raghu, he was called Raghava. Since he possessed Veeram, he is called Veera Raghava in the celebrated Divyadesham called Tiruyavvalur near Chennai. He's the one who secured triumph over the evil. He was victorious. So he is Vijaya Raghava. He is celebrated in another Divyadesham called as Tirupputtkuri, which is near Kanchipuram. So be it Veera Raghava of Tiruvallur or Vijaya Raghava of Tirupputtkuri, he is essentially called Raghava because he comes in the lineage of Raghu. Bhavayami Raghuramam. Then the composer says, Bhavya Suguna. Guna means Saushilyam. The first question which Valmiki had was, Konasvin Sampratam Loke Gunavan Kascha Viryavan. What does the word Gunam means? In general, the word Gunam means a quality. Whereas, when we speak about specifics, the word Gunam indicates a specific quality, an attribute called Saushilyam. The ability for a person to mingle, the ability for a person to move with all kinds of people from very different strata of the society without giving them a thought that he is superior and we are inferior. That kind of a natural mingling with the people is called Saushilyam. He is called Saushilya Sagara. Vedanta Deshika says Rama is the ocean of this quality called Saushilyam. So this is a great gunam. So we prefix it with the letter Su. Like how Valmiki says, Kausalya Supraja Rama. Su is a prefix. So here Tirunal says, Bhavya Suguna. So he is the one who is a repository of all good qualities. Bhavya Suguna Aramam. Aramam is a forest. So he is a forest full of good qualities, which essentially means that he is a repository of all great qualities. Tirunal now takes us through the Anupallavi. Anupallavi is essentially that component in a composition that adds beauty to the Pallavi. The opening line is the Pallavi. Anupallavi very closely follows the Pallavi and embellishes it. So here he says, Bhavuka Vitarana Para Apangalila Lasitam. Bhavuka, the one who is so happy, he experiences Anandam as explained in the Upanishads, and also makes the person who contemplates on him experience that Ananda. Vitarana Para, the one who is desirous of giving that Anandam to his devotees. Apangalila. Apangalila means his eye glances are enough for the devotees to rejoice. Valmiki comes up with this beautiful verse. He says, if there is someone who has not seen Rama or who has not been seen by Rama, is actually a burden to Mother Earth. During the times of Rama, it seems there used to be a saying amongst the general folks that, has Rama seen you? And if the person says no, have you seen Rama? And if the person still says no, then the person will say, oh, you're a big burden to the earth. Let's not misconstrue this line. What it essentially means is, during the times of Rama, Rama was such a embodiment of dharma that if you miss seeing him or if you're missed seen by him, then you have lost an opportunity. So here he says, Apangalila lasitam. So he is the one who shines with such qualities. So Rama has been described. He is the one who is to be contemplated upon. He is the one who distributes Ananda. He is the one meditating upon whom the recipient, the one who meditates, receives Ananda. Tirunal takes us through the first kandam, which is Bala Kandam. Dinakara Anvaya Tilakam. Dinakara is the Lord's son, Surya. Dinakara Kulakamala Divakara, states Vedanta Deshika. Dinakara Anvaya Tilakam. In the succession, in the lineage of Surya comes Rama, right? So he comes in the solar dynasty, Surya Vamsha. So in this lineage of Dinakara, Surya, here is the divine ornament. So he says Tilakam Divya. So you can associate this word Divya with Tilakam. Dinakaranvaya Tilakam Divya. Or Divya could be taken to the next line. Divya Gadhi Suta. Gadhi Suta. There was a king called Gadhi, and his son was Kaushika, who later, through various steps of becoming a Rishi, a Raja Rishi, and later a Brahma Rishi, was called Vishwamitra. So Divya Gadhi Suta Savana. So while Vishwamitra, who's Gadhi Sutta, who's Kaushika, was performing a sacrifice for months together in the forest, wanted the Kshatriyas to come and protect it. So he sought the help of Dasharatha and said, Aham Vedmi Mahatmanam Ramam Satya Parakramam Kakapaksha Dharam Veeram Jeshtham Me Datumarhasi. Give me the eldest son of yours called Rama to come and protect my sacrifice. Dasharatha did oppose. He was very hesitant. But upon Vasishtha's intervention, he sent Rama along with Vishwamitra to protect the sacrifice. Divya Gadhi Suta Savana Avana Rachita, the one who protected the sacrifice. Subahu Mukhavadham. Subahu Mukhavadham. The army of demons who were led, whose head was Subahu. So Subahu came with Maricha, but he doesn't take the name of Maricha because Maricha was not killed. He was allowed to survive, and later he comes as a gem-studded golden deer. So he says, Subahu Mukhavadham. Next, when there is Paritranaya Sadhunam, there is Vinashaya cha Dushkritam. So the Dushtas have been annihilated. So the Sadhu has to be protected. Ahalya Pavanam. Ahalya was given emancipation for the infidelity, for having had a relationship with Indra. Despite she knowing it was not her husband Gautama but Indra, she continued having a physical relationship with him, due to which she was cursed by her very husband Gautama. And now, since Rama has given her Shapa Vimochanam, so Padambhoja Rajase, says Vedanta Deshika. So while she was given emancipation, this act has been explained here. Ahalya Pavanam. She went through the process of purification. Pavitranam Pavitramyo Mangalanamscha Mangalam, says Sahasranamam. Then Anagham Isha Chapa Bhangam. Anagham. Agha means sin, blemish, error, mistake. When it is mistakeless, errorless, blemishless, then it is anagha. Anagham Isha Chapa. Isha Chapa. Isha is Lord Shiva. Chapam is the bow. Since Lord Shiva is said to have owned the bow, later in Ramayana it is discussed that it developed a crack. So when it has developed a crack, people could say it has an error. No. Since it has been held by Lord Shiva, even if it has a crack, we should not consider it because it has been held by great Lord Shiva. So here Tirunal says, Anaghamisha Chapa Bhangam. Rama lifted it so that he could string it. Since it had a crack, an existing crack, the bow broke. So Chapa Bhangam. What was the result of it? He was blessed with marrying Mother Sita. Janaka Suta, the one who is the daughter to Janaka. Yam Sita Mamasuta Sahadharma Charitava Praticha Chainam Bhadram Te Panim Grinihishva Panina, says Valmiki. So here, Janaka Suta Pranesham. So he became the Prananatha. He became the beloved of Sita. Ghana Kupita. After the marriage, Rama was married to Sita, Lakshmana to Urmila, Bharata to Mandavi, and Shatrughna to Shrutakirti. As they left Mithilapuri and were on their journey to Ayodhya, Saketapuri, there was an impediment. The great Bhargavarama, Jamadagneya or Parashurama, who was an embodiment of wrath, of anger, he came and said, do you think you are a valorous person by breaking a broken bow? Hold my bow and prove your valor. Thereby, by holding Parashurama's bow, Rama brought an end to the arrogance, to the pride of Parashurama. Ghana Kupita, the one who is extremely angry. Who was he? Rama. Since he came in the lineage of Bhrigu Maharshi, he was called Rama or Bhargavarama. Ghana Kupita Rama Garva Haram Ita Saketam. Garva Haram, the one who removed his pride. Ita, then Saketam. Then he entered Saketapuri or Ayodhya. Then Tirunal comes back to his very common line, which is Bhavayami Raghuramam. In the next Kandam, Ayodhya Kandam, Tirunal begins Vihita Abhishekam Atha. Vihita Abhishekam, the Yauvarajya Pattabhishekam, the coronation of the higher apparent where Dasharatha had planned. Ichchamuhi Mahabahum Raghuviram Mahabalam Gajena Mahatayantam Ramam Chhatravritananam. He had planned to coronate his eldest son Rama as the higher apparent, as a Yuvaraja. While all the arrangements were done, Aruroha Yadrichaya, unexpectedly came the maidservant of Kaikeyi called Manthara, upon listening to whose words Kaikeyi was brainwashed. She sought boons from the king, and thereby Rama was banished to the forest. Vihita Abhishekam Atha. Then what happened? This word Atha holds immense significance in our Vedanta, because the first word or the first sutra of the Vedanta Sutras is Atha. So this Atha is thereafter. Thereafter what? After what? Whereas in Shastram we say after Karma Kandam. Here it is after the stopping of the coronation. Vihita Abhishekam Atha Vipinagatam. Then they went to the forest. Now it is they. Who are they? It is Rama, his wife Sita, and then Lakshmana. That is why Valmiki says, Agratah prayayau Ramaha, Sita madhye sumadhyama, Prishtatastu dhanushpanihi, Lakshmanaha anujagamaha. So the three of them walked. Then Tirunal says, Vihita abhishekam atha vipinagatam aryavacha. Aryavacha, upon listening to the words of the great king Chakravarti called Dasharatha, Sahita Sita Saumitri, along with Sita and Saumitri. Interestingly, Swati Tirunal does not use the word Lakshmana, but he says Saumitri, the son of Sumitra. Why? Even in Ramayana, in many places, the Rama ends up saying Saumitri. He says Chapamane Saumitre. Why? Instead of calling him Lakshmana, why should Rama say, oh, the son of Sumitra? Because Sumitra had said, my dear son Lakshmana, now that you are leaving along with your brother and your brother's wife in the forest, if someone asks you who is your father, you must take the name of Rama, not Dasharatha. If someone asks you who is your mother, do not take my name, take the name of Sita. So she has said, follow every word of what your brother and your sister-in-law says. So to exemplify this thought that he was not Lakshmana but the son of Sumitra who would listen to every word of Rama and Sita, Tirunal says, Sahita Sita Saumitrim Shantatama Sheelam. Shanta is a guna. It is the ninth rasa in the Navarasas. Shanta is the serenity, it is the purity, it is the peace with which one rests. If that is Shanta, why didn't Tirunal just use the word Shanta? He says, Shantatama Sheelam. Shantatama. Tama in Sanskritam is the third degree of comparison. So we have positive, comparative and superlative. Shanta, Shantatara, Shantatama. So he was the most peaceful of all the people. Shantatama Sheelam. Sheelam is a quality. We can also assume it is Saushilyam. Next, what happened to Rama who went with Sita and Lakshmana to the forest? They crossed the Ganges, Mother Ganga, and were in Shringiverapuram, where they were attended to by a great friend and a devotee called Guha. Guha Nilayagatam. Next, upon the advice of Bharadwaja Maharshi, he took shelter in a nice Parnakashala on the banks of river Mandakini in a place called Chitrakuta. Chitrakuta Agata. After going there, what happened? The person who had gone with his brother Shatrughna to his uncle's house, who was Bharata, upon learning that he had indirectly become a cause for his brother to be languishing in the forest, fell at the feet of Rama to come back to Ayodhya. So he came to Chitrakuta. Chitrakuta Agata Bharata Datta. So upon receiving Bharata and knowing his intention, Rama said, see, I cannot come. I have promised my father that I will be in the forest for a period of 14 years. So until then, you hold my padukas. Mahitaratna Maya Padukam Madana Sundarangam. Mahitaratna Maya Padukam. That paduka which has been embedded with such beautiful, blemishless, colorful, precious stones, like how Andal says, Tumani Madatis Chuttum Vilakiriya. Here those ratnas are embedded in this beautiful padukas. Vedanta Deshika, the great poet, playwright, philosopher, dietitian par excellence in the 13th century, has composed over 1,000 verses, which is a compilation on the greatness of the Padukas called Paduka Sahasram, where he denotes a special chapter to speak about the gems that have been laced on Padukas. Mahitaratna Maya Padukam Madana Sundarangam. Then Tirunal goes back to the Pallavi. Bhavayami Raghuramam. Swati Tirunal now takes us through the third Kandam, which is the Aranya Kandam. He says, Vidata Dandakaranya. Dandakaranyam. Aranyam means a forest. Dandakaranyam is named after a person called Dandaka, who incidentally came in the lineage of Ikshvaku. So Rama, Lakshmana and Sita walked in the dense forest of Dandakaranya. Vidata Dandakaranya Gata. Then what happened? Viradha, who was a demon who was living in the forest, abducted Sita. Rama and Lakshmana followed him closely and killed him. Viradhadalanam. So Viradha was killed. Next, of the greatest quality, Sucharita Ghataja Datta. Ghataja. Ghata is a pot. So since this Maharishi is said to have been born of a pot, he was called Ghataja. That is the name of Rishi Agastya. He is also called as Kumbha Muni. Muthuswami Dikshitar and other great Vagayakara says, Pura Kumbha Sambhava Munivara. Kumbha Sambhava Muni. Kumbha Sambhava Muni, the one who was born of a kumbham, a pot. So here Swati Tirunal says Ghataja, who's Agastya. So Rama happened to meet the very auspicious, the very graceful sage Agastya in the forest, who blessed him with the unparalleled, unsurpassed, the priceless bow of Vishnu, which is the Vaishnavastram. So here Tirunal says, विततदण्डकारण्यगत विरधदळनं सुचरितघटजदत्त अनुपमित Vaishnavastram. Then in the forest, he happened to meet the son of Aruna, who is the elder brother to Garuda. The sons of Aruna were Jatayu and Sampati. So he met with a great bird, scavenger bird called Jatayu, who was also friends with Rama's father called Dasharatha. Patagavara Jatayu, Patagavara. He is not an ordinary bird. He is superior among birds. Of course, we will know because he is one of the few who sacrificed his life for the sake of Sita. Patagavara Jatayunutam. So he was worshipped and saluted by Jatayu. Panchavati Vihita Avasam. So he lived along with Lakshmana and Sita in a beautiful place called Panchavati, which most historians opine is the current day Nashik on the banks of Godavari, Maharashtra. Then comes a turning point where the widowed sister of the demon king of Lanka, Ravana, his widowed sister called Shurpanaka, comes and sees Rama and is enamored by his beauty. Ghora Shurpanaka Vachanagata Kharadiharam. Since she expressed her love in the most unethical fashion, she was humiliated where her nose and ears were chopped. And with this, she goes and complains to her brothers who were stationed in a close by place called Janasthana, Khara, Dushana and Trishiras. So they came in a number of 14,000 and people were wondering how a single-handed Rama who adheres to rules will fight them. Ekascha Ramo Dharmatma Katham Yuddham Bhavishyati. And then Rama fought them valorously and defeated all of them except one who was called Akampana, who later goes and describes Rama's valor to Ravana. So here Tirunal says Ati Ghora Shurpanakha Vachanagata Kharadiharam. Comes back to the Pallavi. Bhavayami Raghuramam. In the next canto, which is the Kishkinda Kandam, Tirunal of course brings to light many important incidents. But I will also have to make a point here. The first two lines actually are a part of the previous Kandam, which is Aranya Kandam. But interestingly, Swati Tirunal brings that into Kishkinda Kandam. Let's see what it is. Kanaka mriga rupadhara kalamaricha haramiha. Kanaka mriga rupadhara. Kanaka is gold, mriga is deer. So as a gem-studded golden deer, when Maricha, who was Ravana's uncle, wanted to lure Sita so that he gives ample space for Ravana to abduct her, came Kanaka mriga rupadhara khala maricha. Khala, the wicked, Maricha haramiha. So he was killed. So interestingly, it is said that Rama ran behind the deer till a village in Karnataka from Maharashtra. So it just happened in a few minutes. So imagine at what speed Rama would have come. And he killed the Mrigam. See, Kishkinda Kandam has to do with the place Kishkinda, Bali, Sugriva and Hanuman, who are all stationed in Karnataka. So maybe he wanted to group the Karnataka incidents together. So he says that the deer was killed. Kanaka mriga rupadhara kalamaricha haramiha sujana vimata dashasya hrita janaka janveshanam. Sujana vimata. They were great, nice people who advised Ravana, please do not do this. But he did not pay heed to what they all said. And he came in the disguise of a Parivrajaka and kidnapped Sita. Who's Sita? Janakaja, the daughter of Janaka. Sujana vimata dashasya hrita janaka janveshanam. Anveshanam. So Rama goes in search of Sita. Hamsakaranda Vasinam Vande Godavarim Nadim. Hey Mata Godavari who's flowing, please tell where my Sita is. Hey Karnikara Pushpat, please tell me where Sita is. So laments Rama. Then he continues. Anagha Pampa Tira. This is where exactly, as per Valmiki, Kishkinda Kandam begins. But the first two lines have been grouped in Kishkinda Kandam by Swati Tirunal, which is to be noted. Anagha Pampa Tira. Pampa is the river. It is not the Pampa that we speak of near Shabarimala in Kerala. It is a lake and a small stream in the region of Kishkinda in North Karnataka. Anagha Pampa Tira Sangata Anjaneya. Sangata Anjaneya. Hanuman initially came in the disguise of a Brahmana so that people do not doubt that a monkey is speaking Sanskritam. But then he ends up saying, Sugriva Sachivo Nama Hanuman Nama Vanaraha. Listening to Hanuman's eloquence, Rama says to Lakshmana, Nandrigveda Vinitasya na Yajurveda Dharinaha na Samaveda Vidushaha Shakyamevam Prabhashitum Nunam Vyakaranam Kritsnam Anena Bahudashrutam Bahuvyaharathanena Nakinchitu Apashabditam Avistaram Asandigdham Adhritam Avilambitam Urastam Kantakam Vakyam Vartate Madhyamesware Samskara Kramasampannam Udritam Avilambitam Ucharayati Kalyanim Vacham Hridayaharinim. How beautifully this man speaks. So Rama magnanimously uses the best of words, the most flowery words to describe Hanuman's eloquence. So here it is. Anagha Pampa Tira Sangatanjaneya. Besides meeting Anjana's son Anjaneya, whom else did Rama meet? Nabhomani Tanuja. Nabha is sky. Nabhomani is the one which is the jewel to the sky, which is the sun. So Nabhomani Tanuja, who is regarded as the son of the sun, it is none but Sugriva. Anjaneya Nabhomani Tanuja. It's not Nabhomani and Tanuja is not separate. Nabhomani Tanuja, the son of the sun. Sakhya. So he made friends with Sugriva and Hanuman. Sangatanjaneya Nabhomani Tanuja Sakhya Vali Tanudalanam Isham. He is the one who proved that he is the Isha, the Lord, by vanquishing Vali in the battle. So says Swati Tirunal and goes back to the very Pallavi. Bhavayami Raghuramam. In the next Kandam, which is the very, very admired and beautiful and respected Sundara Kandam, Tirunal says, Vanarottama Sahita. Vanarottama, Uttama, the superior or the head of all monkeys, who is Sugriva, Vanarottama Sahita, in the company. So in Kishkinta, while the monkeys were led by Sugriva, amidst them, what did Rama do? Vanarottama Sahita Vayusunu Kararpita. Vayusunu, he gave away something to the son of Vayu, Vayusunu, in his hands. Kararpita, Arpita, to give. Kararpita, in his hands. What did he give? Bhanusha Shatabhaswara. Shatabhaswara. Bhanusha Shatabhaswara. Bhanu Shatabhaswara. 100 suns when smelted together, what kind of a resplendence will come? That will come, it seems, from Rama's ring. So that was given away. Vanarottama Sahita Vayusunu Kararpita Bhanusha Shatabhaswara, who received it with all humility. Bhavya Ratna Anguliyam. Ratna Anguliyam, the ring that has been studded with gems. Ratna Anguliyam Tena Punaha Anita. Hanuman gave this away to Sita and in turn brought something more precious than Rama's ring. What was that? That was the gem-studded hair clip of Sita called Chudamani. So, Tena Puna Anita Anyuna. So, the one which is unparalleled and without any blemish, error. What is it? Chudamani Darshanam. Rama accepted with so much of love. He felt as if he is seeing Sita in person. Srinidhim. The Chudamani is the Srinidhi. The one who brought the Chudamani, whose Hanuman, is also the Srinidhi. The one who received it, Rama, is also the Srinidhi. Srinidhim udati tira ashrita Vibhishana Militam. Ashrita Vibhishana. Again, this particular incident where Vibhishana seeks or comes seeking asylum of Rama, where there is Vibhishana Sharanagati, happens in Yuddha Kandam. But Swati Tirunal has accommodated this in Sundarakandam, maybe to say that Sundarakandam just does not talk about one devotee, Sugriva, Hanuman. It also talks about another great devotee who is none but Vibhishana. Srinidhim udhati tira shrita Vibhishana militam. Then he met up with Vibhishana. So Vibhishana was given Sharanagati here, says Tirunal. Then he goes back to the Pallavi. Bhavayami Raghuramam. In the last Kandam, as per his composition, remember, as per Valmiki's Adikavyam Srimad Ramayanam, it begins with Balakandam and ends with Uttarakandam. Undoubtedly, all our acharyas have come to a conclusion that Uttarakandam is also an integral part of Ramayana. So, just because we may be upset with certain incidents of it, we cannot exclude that that is a part of Srimad Ramayana. But to give it a very nice, auspicious, peaceful finish, some acharyas who bring the essence of Ramayana will keep away Uttarakandam. Not to say that it is not a part of Ramayana. That is a part, but I don't want to speak about it because I'll get very upset. So they stop with Yuddha Kandam. So, respecting the sentiment of Swati Tirunal, this is the last paragraph. Kalitavara Setu Bandham. Kalitavara Setu Bandham. So, the great dam, the Setu, was constructed with the help of Nala, Neela, Jambavan, the monkeys and the squirrels. Tondaradi Pudiyalvar, who's called Bhaktangri Renu, says, Salamila Anilam Polen. So, this Setu was constructed. Kalitavara Setu Bandham Kalani Sima Pishitashana. Pishitashana. People who consume meat, flesh. So the demons of Lanka who were consuming flesh. Where do we have evidence? When Hanuman goes in search of Sita in Lanka, there are 3-4 verses attributed to what kinds of meat were cooked there. Mahishanam cha bhagashaha, Mayuranam cha bhagashaha, Varahanam cha bhagashaha. The meat of the pigs, of the peacocks, of the buffaloes were cooked. So here, Swati Tirunal uses the right word. Pishitashana. Kalitavara Setu Bandham Kalani Sima Pishitashana. What else did Rama do? He brought an end. Dalanam Urudashakantha Vidaranam Atidhiram. Vidaranam Atidhiram. So the one who is brave brought an end to Ravana, who was heading the demons who were flesh eaters. Jvalana Puta. As the Yuddham was over, Sita was asked to undergo the test of fire, which is Agni Pariksha, which is still found in a place called as Divarum Pola near Nuvara Elia in the middle of Sri Lanka. We have often been told that Rama was doubtful, so he asked her to go the test of charity. No. Because even before her being kidnapped, abducted by Ravana, she spoke very, very foul words, abusive words of Lakshmana's character. So this was very, very hurtful for Rama because he didn't expect a mature and a seasoned Sita to speak such words on a person who was selflessly serving them for years together. So, even be it his beloved wife, he wanted to project to the society that however people are close to me as an administrator, I will punish them for even their verbal act. So he asked her to undergo the test of fire. Jvalana Puta Janaka Suta. So Janaka Suta, the daughter of Janaka, was asked to undergo the test of fire. Jvalana Puta Janaka Suta Sahitam Yata Saketam. As she emerged out of the fire, more resplendent than what she was before, along with her and the others, they all went to Ayodhya. Sahitam Yata Saketam. Then what happened? There is this beautiful Pattabhishekam which happened. Ramam Ratnamaye Pithe Sahasitam Sanyaveshayad Vasishtho Vamadevascha Javali Ratha Kashyapaha Katyayanaha Suyajnyascha Gautamo Vijayasthata Abhyashinchan Naravyagra Prasannena Sugandhina Salilena Sahasraksham Vasavo Vasavam Yatha. So there was this beautiful act of Pattabhishekam, the coronation of Rama, which happened, where Tirunal says, Vilasita Pattabhishekam, Vilasita. The entire parivar was glistening, was radiant during the Pattabhishekam. Vilasita Pattabhishekam, as I said at the commencement. Tirunal will always want to induce the mudra of Padmanabha because that was his beloved deity. So he says, Vishwapalam Padmanabham. But who is the one who protects this entire world? He is Rama, who is essentially Padmanabha, from whose Nabhi the beautiful lotus and Brahma came and from which the Srishti came. That Padmanabha has blessed me to write this beautiful composition, which is the quintessence of Ramayanam. Vilasita Pattabhishekam Vishwapalam Padmanabham Bhavayami. He goes back to the very Pallavi. Bhavayami Raghuramam. As you are all a part of this journey of Bhavayami Raghuramam, the Kriti which has been immortalized by great Vagekaras and musicians, we are now going to see that in the dance form, which will be a visual treat by the grace of Rama to us.
Bhavayami Raghuramam Bhavya Sugunaramam Bhavayami Raghuramam Bhavya Sugunaramam Bhavayami Raghuramam Bhavya Sugunaramam Bhavayami Raghuramam Bhavya Sugunaramam. Thalangu takadiku takatadinginatum tahata jam taritam takanaka jam tarikita takata hata jam taritai knakanaka jam tarikita takata hata jam taritam jam tari jakum taritai tan tanum takun tanum tanum dinum takum tajam ta kidka tarikidum ta kidka tarikidum ta kidka tarikidum. Bhavayami Raghuramam Bhavya Sugunaramam Bhavayami Raghuramam Bhavya Sugunaramam Bhavayami Raghuramam. Bhavuka Vitarana Parra Bhavuka Vitarana Parra Bhavuka Vitarana Parra दिनकरान्वयतिलकं दिव्यगारिसुतसवन दिनकरान्वयतिलकं दिव्यगारिसुतसवन दिनकरान्वयतिलकं दिव्यगारिसुतसवन वनरचित सुबाहुमुखवदम् अहल्यापावनम् वनरचित सुबाहुमुखवदम् अहल्यापावनम् अनघमीश शापभङ्गम् जनकसुत प्रणेशम् अभिषेकमत विविनगत मर्यवच विहदाभिषेकमत विविनगत मर्यवच सहित सीता सौमित्री शनतं शीलं सहित सीता शनतं शीलं गुहनिलय गतं चित्रकूटगत भरतदत्त गुहनिलय गतं चित्रकूटगत भरतदत्त गुहनिलय गतं चित्रकूटगत भरतदत्त महिरत्नमय पादुक मदन सुन्दरागम् महिरत्नमय पादुक मदन सुन्दरागम् भावयामि रघुरामम् विततदण्डकारण्यक गतविराददलनम् विततदण्डकारण्यक गतविराददलनम् विततदण्डकारण्यक गतविराददलनम् सुचरित पञ्चवटी विहितवासं पदगवर जटायुनुतं पञ्चवटी विहितवासं अतिघोर शूर्पणख वचनगत हरदिहरम् अतिघोर शूर्पणख वचनगत हरदिहरं ग पगरि गरि सद सदि ग पद सद पगरि सदि ग पगरि गरि सद सदि ग पद सद पगरि सदि ग पग गरि सदि गरि सदि सदि गरि ग पग पद पद स गरि सद रि सद सद गरि नि द म गरि सद भावयामि रघुरामम् कनकमृगरूपधर खलमारीच हरमिह कनकमृगरूपधर खलमारीच हरमिह सुजनविमत दशश हृदजनकजनेशनम् सुजनविमत दशस्य हृदजनकजनेशनम् अनघपम्पा तीरसङ्ग ताञ्जनेय नभोमनि अनघपम्पा तीरसङ्ग ताञ्जनेय नभोमनि तनुज सख्य करङ्गाली तनुदलन मीशं तनुज सख्य करङ्गाली तनुदलन मीशं तत्तकीट धन तकीट धीं तकीट जुनु तकीट तक तकीट तर्गदां तत्तकीट धन तकीट धीं तकीट जुनु तकीट तक तकीट तर्गदां तत्तकीट धन तकीट धीं तकीट जुनु तकीट तर्गदां 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 तकीट धन तकीट धीं तकीट जुनु तकीट तर्गदां 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 तकीट धन तकीट तर्गदां तत्तकीट धन तकीट तर्गदां धीं तकीट जुनु तकीट तर्गदां धीं तकीट जुनु तकीट तर्गदां तत्तकीट तर्गदां धन तकीट तर्गदां धीं तकीट तर्गदां तत्तकीट तर्गदां धन तकीट तर्गदां धीं तकीट तर्गदां तर्गदां तत्तर्गदां 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 तत्तत्तजं तित्तजं तजं तदिगिरतं 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 तत्तित्तजं तित्तजं तजं तदिगिरतं 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 तत्तित्तजं तित्तजं तजं किडततकिडतं 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 मगरि सनिद सरि मगरि सरि म प म नि द प मगरि सनिद सरि मगरि सरि म प म नि द सत् सनि द प प मगरि सनि द सरि म प नि द म प द स गरि सद रि सद सद गरि नि द म गरि सद भावयामि रघुरामम् वानरोत्तम सहित वायुसुनु करार्पित वानरोत्तम सहित वायुसुनु करार्पित भानुसत भास्वर भव्यरत्नाङ्गुलीयं भानुसत भास्वर भव्यरत्ना Raghuramam Kavara setu bandham Kalanisimhabhishikasana Kalitavara setu bandham Kalanisimhabhishikasana Dalana Vidaram Atidhiram Galana Murudashakantha Vidaram Atidhiram Jwalana Bhuta Janakasuta Sahitayata Saketam Jwalana Bhuta Janakasuta Sahitayat Saketam Vilasita Padhabhishekam Vilasita Padhabhishekam Vishwaparam Padmanabham Vishwapalam Padmanabham Vilasita Padhabhishekam Vishwapalam Padmanabham Rimari Mapa Nipa Mapa Nisa Risa Nipa Pama Marisa Rimari Mapa Nipa Mapa Nisa Pama Marisa Ripa Marisa Nisa Rimapa Dapa Sani Dapa Maga Magari Sani Sari Magari Sari Kada Magari Sari Gapada Risa Gapada Magari Risa Maga Mani Nani Pada Nisa Gari